Hi, we're the Cameroon Anti Corruption Agency. At our nonprofit, we aim to reduce government corruption that hinders the daily lives of Cameroonians.
At the CAC, we envision to end inefficiencies in the government by better utilizing resources with the goal to reduce corruption by resolving ethnic conflicts,
improving education,
and increase health standards.
So how do we get there?
Cameroon was originally colonized by the Germans, who ruled the region from the initial partitioning of Africa in 1884 to 1916. The German trading companies brutalized the natives in order to profit off of them and used the chieftains to help carry out their will. The country then became an area of conflict during World War I, where the British invaded Cameroon. After the war, Cameroon was partitioned by the French and the British. The French took control of the majority of the territory, known as the Eastern Territory, while the British took a sliver of the territory bordering its colony of Nigeria, known as the Western Territory. The zones were governed by the two countries, and during this time, more roads were built, along with the expansion of the cocoa and coffee industries. During this time, the political party known as the Union of the Peoples of Cameroon, UPC, rose up and demanded that the two zones be united as one independent nation free from colonial rule. They were banned, and then they revolted, leading to negotiations where the country was partitioned between Nigeria and the newly formed nation of Cameroon. Northern Cameroon merged with Nigeria, while southern Cameroon was forced to pick between the former French colony and Nigeria. There have always been tensions between the two regions, as the English zone minority feel culturally different and isolated due to the rest of the nation being influenced by the French. Currently, the country is still developing, with roughly half the population being rural and involved in agriculture. Roughly half of the estimated population is in multidimensional poverty, indicating that they still have much to improve.
First off, we at the CACA will mitigate ethnic conflict by establishing inclusive, existing geographical boundaries to build trust between ethnic groups and distributing governmental power from a unitarian republic to a more democratic state in which everyone demonstrates equal power. One potential risk that the CACA faces while mitigating ethnic conflict is a war breakout between the sectionist groups and Cameroon's government. In order to mitigate these risks, we can provide incentives for the help through the support from other organizations like UNICEF, the UN, or the IEMI. We could also create a link between both groups for equality. To measure our success, we will consult hate crimes before and after our intervention. We also consult the improvement in government document language inclusively using informal indicators, while lastly looking at the proportion of cities with direct participation structure of civil society in urban planning and management that operate regularly and democratically.
Next, the CACA will aim to improve education by building schools, ensuring school safety, training teachers, and strengthening the education system through incentives and aid programs. With improved education will come increased awareness about diversity and cultural barriers that are causing the ethnic conflict in the government. A problem with this tactic is that the money allocated to funding the education system could be used for other means by government officials. Schools could be used to incite more violence or resistance. Reform could result in quantity over quality of teachers, and the corrupt government can also result in propaganda instead of information being taught. We will have a hands-on approach to giving funding for education, specifically giving aid to schools or regions, not the entire government. To reduce violence and resistance, we will be enacting policies that create a more democratic government. Now, to measure this, we will keep count on the school reopenings, numbers of universities in the region, and quantities of people attending or receiving an education. We will partner with UNICEF and Save the Children to meet our goals.
The CACA will aim at increasing health standards by improving health infrastructure within hospitals and cleaner resources, as well as implementing proper education for health workers through governmental programs. A potential risk we have for this would be that we are not sure who would receive the education and training. There could be a high allocation of wealthy students to gain health and education in Cameroon. Additionally, there could be bias in who gains this education. There's a high probability that the French speakers would get the majority of the training and education, while nothing gets improved in the English-speaking regions. In order to mitigate this risk, we plan on partnering with the World Health Organization, so therefore Cameroon will be held accountable for ensuring equality amongst who they train and educate. Instead of giving money to the national government, we instead will give money to regional and local forms of government. To measure our success, our indicators will be used through the mortality rate attributed to unsafe water, unsafe sanitation, and lack of hygiene. We will also measure the coverage of essential health services, defined as the average coverage of essential services based on tracer interventions that include reproductive, maternal, newborn, newborn and child health, infectious diseases, non-communicable diseases, and service capacity and access among the general and the most disadvantaged populations.
So, when will we do all of this? In 2020, our group will start the process of resolving ethnic conflict, while in 2021, we aim to have a new election to get unbiased political figures in government. Beginning in 2022, we will start training doctors and teachers. In 2013, the process of rebuilding schools will begin. Lastly, in 2024, we will start rebuilding infrastructure crucial for health centers and school buildings. If you hate ethnic conflict, are passionate about fair and free elections, and you want to provide public health education to improve the lives of over 24 million people, we need your support. Without your gracious support, former Professor Luna, we cannot achieve our goals. Thank you for your gracious time and your helpful support.